Well, in Cleveland, the Dog Pound have not been living up to the hype that we thought as a contender heading into the season, but maybe some juice from Nick Chubb will change that. The star running back set to make his season debut in Week 7 for the first time, hitting the field since that knee injury we saw just last year. All smiles. That is a good sign for one of the former top backs in the league. Not sure how much he can help a 1-in-5 Browns team, but if history stays the course, when he's on the field, he's dominant. That X factor. Chubb, of course, happy and sharing his message of being back in the Players Tribune with a long article to the folks there, the Dog Pound, also in Cleveland, and quote there, a small portion. There's only one thing left to do now. I got to pay you back. These rocks ain't going to move themselves. Let's work. I'm going to bring in my guy, Tyler Sullivan, with more on this. You heard the words there from Chubb about what he expects getting back on the field, and you talk about one of the better backs in the league. Realistic expectations, though. This is the first time we see him. Where do you think his game sits?
Yeah, you got to slow things a little bit. This isn't going to be Nick Chubb that we all know and love, and you have him as your RB1 in fantasy and everything like that. When he's healthy, he's the best pure back, or arguably the best pure back in the NFL, but we do have to recognize that he's coming back from a significant leg injury, and not only this injury, but now it's a long list of injuries that he's dealt with going back to college. So you do wonder what the Nick Chubb that we're getting in 2024 is going to look like. I would temper the expectations, but you did kind of hit on something there earlier. You're talking about the smiles in Cleveland. When can we say that about this Browns team in 2024? So having someone so important to the organization, both on and off, now being reinserted into the lineup, it's going to give this offense an emotional boost just as much, maybe even more than what we'll see on the field. But certainly, this is a team that struggled to run the football, only has 2 rushing touchdowns on the season, tied for the fewest in the NFL. Getting Nick Chubb back will certainly help in some regard.
Look, you just touched on it there. There's definitely going to be some rust, and maybe time is on his side. But when it comes to the Browns and that record, 1 win, you do not have time to waste here. Can he really help this unit, even if it's a 70 to 80% working back to 100 Chubb for them in that backfield?
Yeah, I think that obviously he will help them in some regard because, let's be honest, this Browns running attack has stunk through the first 6 weeks of the season. The whole offense has really been just deplorable throughout the start of this season. But in the running game, they're ranked 28th in the NFL in rushing yards per game. I just mentioned they only have 2 rushing touchdowns on the season as a whole. It's tied for the worst in the NFL. Having just, I don't know, call it 60% of what Nick Chubb used to be is going to be better than what they have at the moment. And not only that, the hope is that can open up play action, that can help the passing game a little bit. Obviously, we know the struggles with Deshaun Watson this season. Putting in a playmaker like Nick Chubb should make things easier for the rest of the offense, and that includes the passing game just a touch.
Oh, the passing game is missing somebody. What's that guy they just sent to Buffalo? Oh, yeah, Amari Cooper. That was Watson's #1 receiver. He's now hanging with Josh Allen, getting rid of his #1 target there. For folks at home, what have you heard about the reason behind trading away #2?
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like he wanted to be in Cleveland that much anymore. At least that's what it felt like watching him on the field. There was a lot of drops, a lack of focus. The chemistry between him and Deshaun Watson didn't seem to be there. And he's going to be a free agent at the end of this season in 2025 outside of a franchise tag. The Browns are not a team that I think should be investing in Amari Cooper beyond 2024. So when you kind of put all of those equations together, the start of the season, the lack of focus, the lack of rapport with his quarterback, it does make sense for this team to recoup as much assets as you can for someone that's not a part of your future. So overall, it does make sense to move off of him. Now, I say that, it's not going to make your offense much better, specifically in the passing attack. He is one of your more talented, if not your most talented wide receiver in that offense, despite all of that lack of rapport with Deshaun Watson. So we're still going to have some questions here with this Browns offense going forward, specifically in the passing attack. One thing that concerns me post this trade, prior to this trade, all of it in between, is how this team operates on 3rd down. They are god-awful. Last in the NFL in 3rd down conversion rates. You look at the advanced metrics with Deshaun Watson, he's averaging less than 18% in terms of converting his passes on 3rd down into 1st downs. It is abysmal that we've seen this passing offense throughout this season, and so losing Amari Cooper certainly isn't going to help that in any regard.
I want to talk about the quarterback in this Deshaun Watson because I'm pretty sure Cleveland thought they were going to Deshaun Watson. They saw in Houston put up numbers, those video game numbers for a couple years before coming over. After that loss to the Eagles, Kevin Stefanski actually doubled down saying Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win. If that's the case here, Tyler, how do you fix your QB problem?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the best chance to win. It's maybe the only option because ownership is paying him $230 million fully guaranteed. That's probably the reason why he's still out there at this point, because from what we've seen on the field, it is not the Deshaun Watson that we saw in Houston. And it's not the Deshaun Watson that the Browns were expecting when they gave him that fully guaranteed, historic, unprecedented contract extension and also gave a boatload of draft pick compensation in return for him. It is, and I've written about it on CBSSports.com, it is far and away the worst deal in NFL history in terms of the contract, in terms of the compensation, all of that. And so, okay, fine, that can be the case, but what do the Browns do now? You continue to roll him out there because you really have no other options. It's not like you can put him behind, if Joe Flacco was still there, you could maybe make the case that, hey, this guy was more productive in this offense. I just don't know if Kevin Stefanski can go to ownership and say, at this point, your $230 million fully guaranteed investment, it's going to sit on the bench for the remainder of the season. I think that this team is riding or dying with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, and right now, they're dying.
Yeah, it won't get any easier because you got a hungry Cincinnati team, and then the Ravens after that, then the Chargers, then you get to the bye. Who knows? They may be, 1-9 at that point when it comes to Watson and all the problems they've had in Cleveland. Tyler, as always, appreciate your time breaking everything down. We'll see those games this weekend on CBS. Of course, a lot to get to at 1 p.m. Eastern. We got a big old showdown when it comes to QBs. C.J. Stroud taking on Jordan Love in Green Bay in that 4 o'clock hour. The Panthers and Commanders, Jaden Daniels, the front runner when it comes to Offensive Rookie of the Year. You can catch on CBS and Paramount.